Okay, here we have the assembled intake portion. As you can see, the flange has been welded onto the T. The valves have been put in place. This valve is going to operate my incoming air. This valve will be able to turn off the clean air coming in through the T. This will help to lean out the mixture as it's running. Normally this will be shut off. This is going to be controlling the incoming fuel vapor from my vaporizer. And that'll also adjust the idle. When it's down to about there, it should idle. And here is wide open throttle. That's also going to be dependent on whether the throttle is completely open here or not, and that'll have to do with the load on the engine and the RPMs the engine's trying to achieve. Okay, so there you see the flange welded up. You can see that we welded it from the outside. We did not weld it from the inside. The reason for that was that it was easier to weld from the outside, not necessarily better, but as long as there's an airtight seal with a gasket in between, that should be okay. All these threaded fittings have got to be completely airtight, which means that they have to be done with extra Teflon tape and extra tight. When there's an air leak, you'll never get the fuel mixture right. So, as you can see, I have a 90 coming out the top. That's going to go into the 3-inch tube. When I get the 3-inch tube mounted, it will be here with the exit coming out, actually the intake coming out right here. We'll have 2 pipes going through here. So, for right now, that's what we've got. Moving on. Okay, here we're showing the routing of the pipes that are going to be going through our resonator. The resonator is a 3-inch tube. There's a 1-inch and a 3/4 inch tube inside there. This tube here is going to be where the air is brought in. I can hook a filter to this, or I can inject hydrogen here, or I can do whatever I want with this outlet. The outlet's going to have probably a filter put on it, but for right now it's going to be open when I first start it. You can see our valve set up here. We have our fresh air valve here. We have our vapor valve here, and we have that running through the 3-inch resonator. That pipe goes down into our bubbler. You can see the black elbow is the same as the black elbow here. That goes to the carburetor. That's going to go down through our vaporizer, bubbler, whatever you want to call it, and the intake going in from the air filter is this line here, which is the one that we have right here open. So that's going to go in through the bubbler at the bottom. That's going to bubble up, make vapor. The vapor is going to come up through that black elbow, down through the resonator into the carburetor. And that's what we have right now. Now we're getting ready to make the face plates and drill them out and weld them in, and then we'll put the exhaust on that once we have everything hooked up, plumbed, and the last thing we'll do is hook the exhaust pipes up. So that's what we have right now. And I'll go ahead and spin this around so you can see what it looks like from the other side. That's where our pickup will be inside there. Let's see if we can find that. Okay, well, anyway, that's what we got right now. I'll show you more later. Okay, we've got our end caps made for our resonator. You can see one hole slightly larger than the other in each one of these, so they need to be lined up. So what's going to happen is this piece will go on the end here. My tubes will be able to go through that and line up with the end cap on the other side. So I'll take this end cap, place it on the other side, line up the holes, and then weld that together. Once this is welded together, I'll have my tubes running through the resonator, and I can put that back on the generator and line up the exhaust plumbing that'll go into that resonator. Okay, and we've roughed this out. We've got our tubes installed. You can see our plates have been tack welded on. They're not finished welding yet. You got the tubes. This will be towards the carburetor. This tube will be going down into our carburetor, and this tube I had to straighten out to get through the inside here, because as you can see I had to cut that tube, notch it in order to get a bend in that tube so it wouldn't interfere with my other tube. And this will be the air filter side. This will be the carburetor side. Then on this end you can see I've got it bent here too with a notch to give me clearance between our two tubes, and I can keep them separated that way. Those two tubes will be going down into our bubbler at the top of the bubbler. So now I have my end caps installed on the resonator, and I'll be tack welding the tubes in place while I do trial fit, and that'll be next. Okay, we're back again with the bubbler. As you can see, I've drilled the holes through the top. One of those I have a brass fitting sitting out, 3/4 inch brass fitting, and that's going to be soldered in place. I left the shoulder inside, so I have the option of tightening down on top with a gasket after I solder. I'll do just the opposite on this one. This fitting will actually be connected on the bottom this way, which will squeeze in between the two, and I can put a gasket inside and outside, but I'm also going to solder that. So next you'll see soldering.